Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Mark Critch and Tim McAuliffe about Son of a Critch, which is premiering on CBC January 4th. Thank you both for your time.
Oh, thank you for having us.
I mean, Mark, what's the mindset right now? This is your memoir. It's going to be a TV show. You're playing your dad. What's going through your head these days?
Well, I'm really excited for people to see it because by far, I think it's the best thing I've ever been a part of in my career. And I have been, very lucky to be a part of some pretty cool things. And so excited to be working with, Tim, who's a dear friend, but I mean, his credentials, The Office and Last Man on Earth, and all these amazing things he's done. I'm so delighted that he'd be a part of this, and it's actually his idea for the show. And we've got Malcolm McDowell and the young Benjamin Evan Ainsworth. It's just so much jam-packed into this show, and it's got an incredible amount of heart. So it's based on a lot of my memories, but I've created so many new memories. They kind of top the old memories just from doing this show. So I'm delighted for people.
100%. And Tim, I'm really curious what your mindset is and the preliminary kind of first steps when a project like this comes to mind. It's based on a very, very, very good memoir. I feel like I have to say that before he's here. What's kind of the first step? What's going through your mind like when this project's presented to you?
Well, the fact is, Mark and I are great friends, so we've been I've heard these stories before, and I was genuinely still riveted reading the book, and it just felt like this just felt like a world you wanted to live in, so specific, but also at the same time it's like it's universal in its appeal, bullying, but also just vulnerability and making fun of people, and ribbing people and that sort of thing in a way that like you can understand, and so it just really the world felt very, very similar to something I knew, even though it was ultra specific, as you can probably tell.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really curious, Mark, because a lot of people know your work from this hour and watch you at CBC. Are you prepared for people to see with this show a new side of Mark Critch? Like, I'm curious about that because this is a different project compared to what people are like know you for, right?
Yeah, it is a very different project for me, but I mean, for me, this is very much who I am. 22 minutes is one side of me and everything, but that's it's a franchise, it's a big Canadian show, and it is what it is, and you kind of put yourself into the peg of that. Your peg goes into that hole when you do that show, and so this is certainly the most personal thing I've ever done. This is really, I would think. Like we were kind of able to have a bit of carte blanche there. We're telling a very unique story, and this is who I am. And it cannot get any more me than this. And this is exactly the kind of jokes I'd make. It's the kind of sets we want to have. So it's myself and Tim, like this is us. And so I think they'll finally probably see the real me. And but I think I hope people will like it. But even if people don't, I've had this wonderful opportunity to do exactly what we wanted to do, which people don't generally get in this business, Yeah. So I walking away, it is the best I think we can do. I think it is. So I'm very satisfied putting it out in the world. And even if people didn't like it, at least I had a shot to do something nobody gets to do. So I'm
for sure. And I'm really excited for everyone. It's so exciting that people are going to be able to see it. I remember when it was announced. It's interesting how it works too, Tim and Mark, when things are announced. Like when I found out this project was happening, like there's different kind of waves, right, of a project getting out, Tim, right? Like there's like the announcement, then the trailer. Are you used to that now with working on so many amazing comedies, Tim? Like the different kind of like flows and waves of a project kind of getting out there? Because it takes time sometimes.
It takes time. I mean, sometimes when you're sitting on set and you're like, we're so far away from, actually seeing this as a TV show. It is pretty crazy. But then you start seeing cuts and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we did this. And, we shot out of sequence. So, you see little pieces, slivers here and there. And so this is like, now we're starting to see all the episodes in their cut form. And you're like, that's when it really starts to feel like, oh, this is a TV show, you know?
Absolutely. I want both
yeah.
your thoughts on this. We'll start with Mark because you mentioned it. I mean, great cast. People are going to see it. Malcolm McDowell is in this show. I mean, that is just a legend. So, I mean, anything you could tell me about that? How did he get involved with the show? You know, what was it like working with him, Mark? I mean, can you just tell me about working with Malcolm McDowell on this?
Oh, he's wonderful. You know, we didn't know what to expect because we had hired a UK casting company, same people who had cast Game of Thrones over there.
Yeah.
Because we had a big net to find young Benjamin, who plays me, because he'd had to do a lot of different things, and we got Benjamin. They gave us Benjamin, and they were like, "Oh, this is the guy. This can be only the guy who can do this." And then they said, "By the way, what do you think about Malcolm McDowell for your grandfather?" And we're kind of like, "Well, that's great, thank you. if we could have some real options in there too." Like, no, we know his agent. We think it's like, yeah, that's wonderful. And why don't we try the Pope? He would be good. And I assume President Biden would be great. But if we could also just have some other people, and they're like, no, trust us. We want to send it to him. I'm like, okay, fill your boots. And so they talked to him to send the script, and he loved the scripts. And they said, well, he'd like a copy of your book. And I'm like, what? So I send the book. He reads the book, and then he wants a Zoom call. I'm like, I can't talk to Malcolm McDowell. Tim, you do it. I'm afraid. But he really loved it and connected with it. And he loved the scripts. And he's like, look, I want to do this. Yep. And so then everything with the show just changed, for us, because we wanted to be as great as it could be, but we didn't expect we'd right away get off to this, Malcolm McDowell levels. And even Benjamin, he plays Pinocchio opposite Tom Hanks in the upcoming Pinocchio. He was on Bly Manor. So we have the best actor of Benjamin's generation. He's 12. And arguably the best actor of Malcolm.
He was so good in Bly Manor. Did you get a chance to see his?
Oh my God! I saw that thing and I thought, this kid's not going to do this. Look at him, So people are like, okay, we have Benjamin and Malcolm. I'm like, okay, we're going to need some backups. Do you know anyone who can act? And they're like, no. So, and then when you see the two of them together, it's absolutely brilliant. And oftentimes Malcolm would do a take, and the crew would erupt in applause. Yeah. And so that just seeing that was incredible.
Absolutely. Tim, I did want to also ask you, because I did, you have worked on some amazing shows in the past as well, like The Office. I've spoken to Michael Schur in the past, and I kind of asked him a similar question as well. Do you there's pressure obviously with sitcoms because they're so popular, there's so many of them and everything. Working in the sitcom genre, do you thrive off the kind of pressure like an NHL goalie playing in a big game? I'm just curious about that a little bit, because it is comedy is one of the toughest genres in terms of TV shows. There's no question about it. So I'm just curious about that with you.
Oh, for sure. I mean, well, it feels, that comedy is, so hit and miss.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I posted, it's really funny. I posted a thing on Facebook that, there was outside our house, someone had parked a porta potty right next to our dining room table, basically. And I was like, oh, I might not eat in the dining room tonight. It was a joke. And my dad commented on it. He goes, I don't get this. I don't know. Maybe it's an age thing. I don't find this funny. And I was like, you don't have to make it a public thing as well. But and then so then basically I was like, oh yeah, it was just, I guess people's sensibilities are different and that sort of thing. And so you end up doing a lot of stuff that you sort of, you push sometimes. You want to make people happy, or you want to sort of, do something outside of what sort of is normally what makes you laugh.
Yeah.
And then you do stuff that you really do find you connect to. And, things like The Office or Last Man on Earth, I just worked on MacGruber, are things I really connect to comedically, but this one just took it to a new level, because not only did Mark and I have such a shorthand in terms of working on stuff comedically, but also it went to a level of heart, which, and at a level that basically I've never worked before. And so it was really quite amazing to have that added to the mix as well.
100%. Before we wrap up, Mark, people are going to be able to see this. Son of a Critch, January 4th on CBC. This is about your life. This is based on your memoir. What are you hoping they get out of it when they get to watch it on CBC?
I hope they, I think they'll connect. with it. I mean, we all felt like the outsider in life. Even the people on the inside feel like the outsider. They just don't want to show it as much. And I hope that they get a laugh, but I hope I think they'll really connect to the heart of the show. And that's where we're wanting to get people. We want to give them the belly laugh, but we want to get them in the chest. And I think that's what's going to make them connect. And I hope they see it. And then I hope they come on back, and they're always welcome at my house.
Amazing. Mark, Tim, I want to thank you both for your time. Thank you very much. And I'm excited. Everyone's excited to see it. January 4th, Son of a Critch on CBC. Thank you both very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.